On June 16th, a dialogue between Mark Kimmel and Tolec on the Andromedan Perspective concerning the coming Terran changes was posted. While listening to the posting, I noted several things that resonated with me in such a manner that I thought my perspective, based on my contact and communication with what I refer to as my celestial and interstellar collective, might add some depth and clarification. The CIC, or really my CIC, is a group of guides, guardians, advisors, teachers, masters, and others, composed of both celestial entities, Christ consciousnesses associated with this planet, and some interstellar entities, higher consciousnesses from other parts of the universe, that provide advice and mentorship to me for achieving my highest and best purpose during this life stream. The interstellar entities include a representative of the Pleiadian Diplomatic Corps and an Arcturian in service to the planet aboard the Arcturian vessel assigned to the current assistance effort. This is Bill, Brother Asa Taylor, from the Lightworkers Unified. The following is some comments and perspective on the conversation that was posted June 16th. Today is June 17th, 2012. The conversation between Tolec and Mark Kimmel. Before I get into even explaining who I am and why I even posted this, let me make it clear that I am not criticizing either of those gentlemen. Matter of fact, I have great respect for both. I will also, I respect them so much that I will be in attendance as an attendee at Mark's intensive in August, the 16th, 17th, and 18th in Pagosa Springs. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make some comments and perhaps what you will find to be clarifications of things that I noted during the conversation. But before I get into those comments and the perspectives, let me tell you just a small bit about who I am. I am part of the transition team, one of the caretakers, as Mark referred to them, that are here to help in the transition from the old to the new. I am a teacher and a diplomat. I have been a teacher on many previous lifetimes, and I have been a teacher a lot throughout this lifetime. I am also from a background of diplomatic service, not in this lifetime, but in priors. And I look forward to the rest of the transition. I also, like Mark and Tolec, have connection with and access to teachers, masters, advisors that exist in higher realms. And that's one of the reasons I thought I would make these comments and share a perspective of what it is I saw. At one point in the conversation, Mark and Tolec were talking about what is to come and how we will have to create it or manifest it based upon our own conscious evolution. The difficulty that we encounter in the physical on this planet in doing so is we have no knowledge or experience based upon experience of what actually should be coming out of the transition from the old to the new. We have many who will resist that change simply because they don't know anything other than what they have experienced during this life stream. It is easy to say that there will be something new, and it's going to be based around self-organizing collectives that will create a self-organizing system. When you break that down into clear language, what it says is small groups of people will gather together and for mutual benefit will find the way that each individual's skills and talents can be used to promote the betterment of the group, while at the same time the group pools its general skills and talents, the overlaying skills and talents of the entire group, to make sure each individual has what it needs to live in comfort and ease. To envision such a organization, to envision such a planet, is difficult for us in the physical, or at least most. Not necessarily for those who have reached certain levels of consciousness. It's easy for me to envision and see that working and how it has to work. And which leads me to the conclusion that I'm calling on prior experiences that have occurred not in this live stream. The transition that we're talking about, the planet making, I agree with Mark. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to take a number of years for it to evolve and develop. The transitions we're making is an evolutionary process. Even Tolec on his homepage has a message from the Andromeda Council, which clearly states that it is an evolutionary process. Evolutionary processes we've been through before, even at the level of social evolution. The transition from the dark ages of medieval times to modern Europe took 200 years. I don't expect our coming transition to take anywhere near that long. But I do agree with Mark, it's going to be anywhere from 10 to 25 years out, because we have to rebuild the entire structures, the social infrastructure, if you will, of the global planet. They also referred to several times different kinds of indications that's going to come about, or progress, if you would, in the transition from where we are to where we're going. They talk about increased vibrations. They talk about increased frequencies. They talk about being lighter and containing more light. Using these terms is great, except for those in the physical who have been here for some time. You find that grasping those phrases is difficult. What does it mean when we talk about the planet is going to increase in vibration? That it's going to join other planets vibrating at a higher dimensional level? Well, scientifically we know that the Schumann resonance, which is the basic vibratory level of the planet, or its heartbeat, if you would, has been increasing. It's been going up for a number of years. Prior to it beginning its reach into raising up the vibration of the planet, it was such a solid, steady state frequency that much of the military communications equipment was based around the use of that particular frequency to assist in communications. That frequency is increasing, and it's going up more and more all the time. The increasing of frequencies and vibrations for the individual then becomes a little different. The way I like to talk about the increase in consciousness and the increase in vibrations and increase in light and crystallization is I bring it down to terms that the average person can understand. When we talk about raising one's consciousness, you have to know where the consciousness lies at the moment and how can you describe it. The easiest way I found to describe it, of course, is that the average person has between 12,000 and 50,000 thoughts a day, depending on how deep a thinker they are. Now, out of those 12,000 to 50,000 thoughts, a good percentage, and I've seen numbers like 80%, would be considered to be negative, not positive, heavy, gross thoughts. And then you also have the other side of the picture. You have the thoughts that are all loving, caring, serving others. You see a person who needs help, you stop and you help them, and the thoughts generated, of course, are positive thoughts. So if you took the thoughts and you graphed them out, you got on a plus and minus scale, and you have a thought that's positive, so you've plotted up on the plus side, and you have a thought that's negative, you plot it down on the negative side. And they're not even, they're scattered up and down the scale from 0 to whatever, from neutral to maximum positive and neutral to maximum negative. If you plotted the thoughts of an average person, then you could draw a median line through those thoughts that would basically be the average thought level in terms of positive and negative. Raising your consciousness then is getting to a point where your thoughts that are generated take on more of a positive aspect and less of a negative aspect. By doing that, it raises that median line up, so therefore you're raising your consciousness. You'll go through every day with less and less heavier, dark thoughts, or heavier, more dense thoughts, if you would. So it will increase your ability to function at a higher social level with individuals that you interact with on a daily basis. So that's raising your consciousness. When we talk about vibrations and raising vibrations, the easiest way for me to relate that to you is if you take one of those really positive thoughts and it is one of the highest levels of positive happiness that you could generate. If it generates the maximum happiness that you can have, you then find that you feel much lighter. You feel that your vibrations are way up there. You actually lighter than air, as they say, or you're walking on air when you see somebody that's very happy. And also we express the same thing when you have someone who functions at that level most of the time. We talk about how much they glow, which is increasing the light quotient of that person. So as you raise your consciousness, you begin to function at a higher level of love, peace, serenity, tranquility, compassion. All of those positive aspects that we've come to know in the 3D physical is then raised to a higher level. Raising it to a higher level then begins to bring that stuff to the forefront. So when we talk about we're going through a transition or an evolution, we are going through an evolution on many, many different levels. The planet itself is evolving. They speak about the axis being readjusted in its tilt. We've been given fair warning. We've been given notice that such a thing is possible. The Sumatran, Haiti, Chilean, and the Japanese earthquakes all had an effect on the axis of the planet. The Japanese earthquake shifted the axis of the planet 0.1%, approximately, that it would take to move it 1 degree. It would take approximately 110 millimeter shift in the axis to move it 1 degree. And the Japanese earthquake moved it approximately 6 millimeters, which is close to a tenth of what it would take to shift it 1 degree. So the shift in the axis is a physical possibility and probability. As the Earth continues to readjust itself back to the pristine position it should have been in, then the shift of the axis becomes really real. Additionally, during the discussion, Mark brought up the issue of caretakers. The larger point was missed. That is, yes, there will be a group of individual consciousnesses that will remain on the planet to be the transition team or the caretakers from where we are today to where we're going, and where we're actually going to wind up as a planet, or where the planet will actually wind up. When I say we, I mean, I don't know whether I'll be here when we finish all of that or not. That will probably be my choice whether I am or not, but that's different. That's a different time, different place for a different subject. But where the planet itself is going to go is we're going to become what the interstellar groups refer to as a planet of light. We're going to be operating at a high enough level of consciousness where we are operating with so little pull onto negative thoughts that all of our thoughts will be operating at a level of caring and compassion for each other and looking out for each other, that the planet itself will vibrate and radiate with that level of goodness, if you would, or that level of upper reaches of consciousness. And it will make us a planet of light, where the planet itself will actually take on a glow of its own because of the love, peace, serenity, and tranquility that will exist. There will come a time when we will be the planet of light for this sector, and we will be a school. It will be nothing more than spiritual schools, consciousness growth schools, if you will, where we will help others who come here to learn more about themselves, what they are, who they are, the transitions they will go through. We will help those in lower dimensions to be able to more transcend the difficulties that are involved in it. The point that I wanted to make about caretakers is that galactically, that is the concept that is known to be accurate, regardless of what planet you're on or what level of dimensional reality you exist in. The concept of caretaking goes far beyond this planet. We are only borrowing or being allowed to use the planet, the sun, everything within our own solar ring is loaned to us to be used. The planet itself has consciousness. The sun is a consciousness as well. So the potential we get from the sun that allows us to be able to exist and do the things we do is only by the graciousness of its consciousness, only by the graciousness of the Creator which created the sun, and the Creator which created this planet, directly or indirectly, however you want to conceive of the building blocks that created all that we know to exist. It's a concept that we need on this planet to truly get hold of, so that we stop polluting the planet, hurting the planet, doing things that we should not do. Being a caretaker or part of the transition team, an individual on the transition team, means that we are preparing a place for those who will be incarnated and come behind us, so that they can be instructed and taught these things which we are currently learning and acquiring the knowledge of. Things like caretaking of the planet, that we are only temporarily allowed to use it. It's not ours. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the sentient and conscious being that is the planet itself. We must show it respect, love, compassion, and above all, consideration. The planet itself and the sun, the stars, all the other planets out there are only placed in our safekeeping for us to oversee and use the resources of, but use them wisely, and not to frivolously burn them off and destroy them. For it was created through a process of conscious creation. So we need not hurt nor harm any sentient being, and all things are sentient beings. So when it comes to the term caretaker, then it's a more broad perspective of the term than simply being part of a team that will assist in the transition of the planet from what it was before we started this evolutionary uplift and what it will be at the end of the uplift. It is a acceptance of being a steward of all that exists and all that it is. We need to develop that attitude as we gain consciousness higher, to the level that one day we will be traveling between solar rings, between galaxies, between planets, so that we have a respect for whatever we find wherever we go, and that it is not something that we should to selfishly and greedily think is our right to cause it harm. So it's an attitude shift and a consciousness shift that goes well beyond simply the vision of someone who is responsible for maintaining the maintenance of the planet. So that's the concept that I think should be applied to the term caretaker. We will be evolving a collective consciousness, and it will be that collective consciousness that will determine what will get created here on this planet. How it will exactly come about, no one knows. How high will it go? No one knows. Not at this time, for this particular transition. The only thing that is truly known, of course, is that we were all going to do this transition. The details of how it's going to happen is yet to play out on the stage. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. They discussed more about the Andromeda Council than I am capable of getting into. I do not, at this time, deal directly with the Andromeda Council. All of the connections I have are with various entities, individual entities. Let's call them the individual entities. I do know that I'm being guided and led and prepped, as I like to say, for jobs that are coming. My entire existence has been one of a complete preparation. And that's only been possible for me to look back and see that for not a great long time. I suspect that after reviewing Tolec's website that I will have some role to play with the Joint Council for this planet. In reviewing his website, by the way, it's a very interesting site. I noted that the Andromeda Council is referred to this planet the same way that I have been led and guided that we should refer to it. It's referred to as Terra. Terra firma is what it was originally called, and for short form it's Terra. The term Earth or whatever other name you want to give it is not wrong, but the name Terra is more of the official name of the planet. So I just wanted to make some little comments and some perspectives on what they talked about, and I can actually do more in the area of analogies for the terms that you hear a lot of people in this area use, like crystallizing your energies and raising your vibrations and increasing your light and raising your consciousness, and all of these things that are nice terms to use. It promotes and raises one's knowledge and a focus on good things and happy things, and that lessens the fear and do the other things. But I agree with Tolec and his website when he posted the Ojibwe prayer that the function of knowledge is to reduce fear, and that's what the knowledge transactions that we have between each other. Sorry, lost a word there. It wasn't coming through real clear. The transactions of communications between two people is solely at this point, when we talk about the knowledge of what's happening and why it's happening, is only to reduce fear. The reasoning or the cause behind the transition, behind the evolution, what it is creating this upliftment in consciousness. And the Andromeda Council used the same word, the upliftment of humanity on this planet to a higher level of existence, a more mutual cooperative system of existence between individuals, between groups of individuals, and between groups of individuals. is where it will eventually wind up. It is the reason it's happening is irrelevant as long as we realize that it is going on and actively participate in that upliftment. The political scene, the economic scene, the educational scene, arts, sciences, everything is going to get an upliftment. But before we can get an upliftment to a new way of doing business, funny word, a new way of existing, we will need to get rid of the old. Getting rid of the old means to literally get rid of everything. We must go through and participate in a destruction before we can have construction. Those who walk the red road and those indigenous peoples that have left us messages and continually give us messages today. Those elders remind us constantly that the new construction comes from the debris of the destruction. You must have destruction before you could have restructure. So that's what we're looking at coming. We're looking at coming a process. And what humanity has to do is they have to participate in that process by keeping their eye and keeping their vision on the brass ring. We have to reach out and try to grasp that brass ring so that we can create what we want to create. I personally have, through my communications, have been building a understanding that there is an active role that all of us will have to play in this process. If it's nothing more than voicing displeasure and putting the external pressures to make things like the political system collapse so we can create a new one, the economic system collapse so we can create a new one. So that's what I see. That's what I see we have to go through. It is nothing to fear. It is no different than the trees losing their leaves in the fall. You know that in the spring the tree will always regrow new green leaves. We should not fear the change because, you know, on the other side of change will be something new, more beautiful than it was before. So I just wanted to share with everyone a few comments and perspectives on what I could remember about them discussing in their conversation that was posted on the YouTube on the 16th of their conversation of the 16th. In Andromedan Perspective too. I will probably do that, yeah. The other thing is I have part of and existing the Lightworkers Unified, and you can find this at www.lightworkersunified.org. It's a movement that hopefully will grow. I'm located in the U.S. in Southern California, and I do twice monthly small groups where we get together and I teach and we discuss and do all kinds of things about the coming changes in consciousness and tools for growth and so on and so forth. And I'm hoping to have many more light workers who will be willing to join us in a unification for the elevation of global consciousness. which will mean that you might have to prepare and take active part in the evolving of this planet. So with that, I'm going to bid you all a good day until the next time I post a YouTube. So until then, have a good one. Peace, tranquility, serenity to all.